WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are positively in Ocean City, Maryland. It's all presented by the Maryland Lottery in conjunction with our friends at Goodwill, Window Nation, and the Restaurant Association of Maryland. I got to get back out to some restaurants. I've been trying to get her out. She's trying to become one of the big electeds here in the one. We've had her on before. Last year, the Crab Cake. You were the first guest I had on the Crab Cake Tour that wasn't like official. We went to Chestertown. Heather Mizeur is back. She is running for office. You should vote for her. Please vote for her. I don't endorse many people, but I'm endorsing her. So, how are you?
Oh, thanks, Nestor.
You jumping into water this morning down here at the beach? What's going on?
I sure did. We did an impromptu campaign meetup on the beach this morning. I was taking a walk yesterday morning, and I thought, why do I suggest that we meet up in coffee shops? Let's do it right on the beach. Let's enjoy the beauty of this congressional district. So we put out on Facebook and Twitter and social media, hey, everyone, if you want to meet up, this is where we'll be at 9 o'clock this morning. And we had a great group turn out, and we talked about a whole bunch of different issues. And then when we were done chatting about an hour later, I was able to jump into the waves and enjoy a little bit of what is this beautiful God's creation here in the First District.
Well, we got a lot of beach down here, and the one is fascinating because where I live is 8 blocks away from the one, up in North Baltimore County, up on the northeastern side. The district and where you had to go, you're in Harford County a whole bunch. What are you seeing? I mean, what are you seeing in the eastern part of the state in regard to your competitor? And I've seen the signs. I've driven around the eastern shore.
You've seen my signs.
Tell me where your confidence level is with the electorate being a little lopsided.
Well, my confidence comes from people being ready for representation who shows up, listens, does the work, and represents us with distinction and integrity again. And people are really sick and tired of the partisan bickering. There's a big desire for leadership that can rise above that, and that's the campaign I've been running from the moment I got in. It doesn't matter if we're Republicans or Democrats or independents. We want to solve our problems again. Let's tone down the partisan rhetoric and turn up the problem solving. And I'm focused on the economy, on the climate crisis, and centering our farmers and watermen as part of that solution, and on healthcare issues that are unique to our rural areas, not just access and affordability, but sometimes it's not just about insurance, it's about whether or not we have providers. There's a provider shortage. There's pressures on closing facilities everywhere. And it's really critical that we have a legislator who is serious about solving problems in our community again. And from that perspective, we're putting together, I think, one of the most aggressive, excited grassroots armies to turn out to the polls in November that this district's seen in a very long time.
When you get information from people who think they're not going to vote for you, when you're out in a room and you get the information back from people, I was going to Suicide Bridge in Hurlock yesterday, and I see the Harris signs and the I'm with Andy and whatever, but there was something that said Waterman, and I'm thinking to myself, what, because you said Waterman to me, and that's so important over here. What would a Waterman see from that agenda versus your agenda in regard? Why would a Waterman be for your opponent? That's what I'm trying to figure out, what makes that an alignment for a Waterman in this part of the world.
Well, maybe someone who hasn't done their homework and wants to rely on past alliances just on partisan affiliation might presume that a Waterman is going to vote for my opponent. But if you look at the record of what he's failed to do for the Waterman, how the H-2B visa has never been a problem that has been fully fixed under his leadership.
I talk about that so tough. I mean, the crab cake. Tell everybody about the H-2B visa. Because
sure.
On the Eastern Shore, it's a known topic, Yeah. I've talked about it with Ben Card and other people. But in Baltimore, all we know is that crab meat's $55 a pound. Why is that $55 a pound?
Well, there's a lot more than just the visas
Yeah.
that are going into that. The crab catch this season is way below what our numbers usually are. But let's step back and talk a minute then about the H-2B visa. that is an issue where we need seasonal workers in our picking houses to do the tough work of picking crabs. They're
Skill.
local, it's skilled labor and it's tough labor, and a lot of local folks are choosing not to do that. So our packing houses need to hire seasonal labor to do this. But
And we say seasonal because crabs don't come out of the water in December, January, February, which makes it a much more difficult vocation on an annual basis for someone who lives near Cambridge or someone that lives on a river. And there used to be so many of these facilities that did this. Now there's just a handful.
There's just a handful, and there are about 10 packing houses in the Eastern Shore. And the beginning of this season, there was only one of 10 that had access to an H-2B visa. At the federal level, there's a lottery program for determining who gets these visa slots to be able to bring these workers in. And all the packing houses want to be able to compete for them, but it was potentially going to cripple our entire industry.
It's a federal issue, right?
This is a federal issue.
Sure, yeah.
There were about 35,000 additional visa slots that became available at the beginning of the year, but there was a requirement that the jobs had to be hired by March 31st. Well, that was my first complaint. If our congressman was doing his job, he would have been in there advocating for a timeline that matched up with Maryland's crabbing season. Our crabbing season is April 1 to September 30. And so if you've already got to have the people hired by the end of March, that was not in alignment with our seasonal needs. It served some of the coastal communities in other parts of the country, but not Maryland's crabbing season. In years past, and when Barbara Mikulski was a senator, she always did a great job of making sure that people who had visas previous years could just have a recurring renewal of that. And that program expired under Andy Harris's watch. So in addition to the things he failed to do, I'm proposing that we create a new program that allows a special governor's designation emergency request, similar to when there's a FEMA disaster. You go in, declare an emergency, and that opens up an ability for more of those slots to come into an area.
Well, it's an economic emergency.
It is, absolutely.
It really is.
For the livelihoods of so many people. You've got the watermen who are catching the crabs, and there's a whole industry line that it's attached to, the people who then are in the packing houses picking the crab meat, and then the restaurants who are serving it in your crab cakes and other opportunities to enjoy this fare. And if we don't strengthen the industry, it won't survive. Now, that's just one piece. We shouldn't even have a lottery system, I think, at the federal level. It's picking winners and losers. We should just abandon it altogether and get realistic about how many slots are necessary for doing this work.
Let's get the job done.
Yeah.
Right.
But outside of the worker shortage issue, we need more money for dredging and improving our waterway and the health of the bay. We need to be on top of the silt that's coming over the Conowingo Dam on a regular basis, and dirtying not just the Susquehanna, but all the tributaries that are impacting our high population crabbing areas. There's a commercial fishing and aquaculture section to my Economy First plan, where I spent a year traveling this district, talking to the people on the ground in every one of our important industries in this region. This is one of them, of 10 areas in our Economy First plan. One is on commercial fishing and aquaculture, a very clear blueprint of what I would do to help the watermen thrive for generations to come.
All this is online, right?
Yes, at heathermizeur.com.
All right, I know how to pronounce it properly. Heather Mizeur is our guest. We're at Mako in Ocean City. It's all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery, Win Donation, our friends at Goodwill, as well as the Restaurant Association in Maryland. Last time I saw you, we were dining. Restaurant Association and Restaurant Week on the Eastern Shore, big deal, September 16th to 25th. Getting local business back. The place I wanted to have a crab cake with you wasn't even open last year. Tavern Green, something like that. Does that make sense? In hold on, Denton. Denton had a.
Yep.
Is that did I say that right? Tavern Green was it was a name of a big old place. It wasn't open because of COVID. These places that sort of fell apart during COVID, getting them back together. I went to Suicide Bridge yesterday, doing pretty well. That's on your side of the bridge. Places have come back. Ocean City's back to life this summer too.
Yeah, COVID was absolutely a big challenge, and for the restaurant industry, thankfully, there was the Restaurant Relief Fund that was part of the American Recovery Package that Andy Harris voted against. But there was important relief and support for small businesses, particularly our restaurant owners, who were hit hard during the pandemic. But yes, we're seeing a slow but steady recovery happening. And I was meeting with some restaurant owners last night here in Ocean City, and it's been a very good season for them. But you've got other challenges in a region like Worcester County here in Ocean City. You talk about seasonal worker shortages. It's not just for the watermen, it's also for the hotel and restaurant industry here. And housing is the big challenge on that.
J1 as well. I talked to Ben Carden about that. I talked to Rick Meehan a little earlier about that.
Yes, and I don't know if this came up in your conversation with the mayor, but one of the things that I'm collaborating with the local chamber and have proposed in the housing section of the economic plan is a seasonal housing plan for West Ocean City that would create dormitory-style housing for the J1 visa workers who come and work in the hospitality industry over the summer. There's an opportunity to bring some federal investment in making access to capital for creating that kind of housing structure that would really benefit the economy here in Ocean City.
Well, it'd be great for the next 20 years. Give people a place to live. This has been going on all of my lifetime. Seasonal workers in Ocean City, young people, European people in many cases coming over. The last couple of years, COVID's really affected that, which has affected the businesses down here. So for you out campaigning in the middle of this mess of red and blue, I've been all over the state the last couple of weeks. I tell the story of going into the farm store, not Royal Farms, out in the western part of the state. It felt like every single thing in there was an NRA piece, a gun, an F. Biden, Go Brandon, like all. It's amped up, and you're over here where you're on the other side of the fence trying to make. What do you hear from people? Are you hearing people who voted for Andy coming to you and saying, I thought it was something else and I'm going to vote for you? Are you feeling that sort of momentum that the people that did vote for him have seen Trump, insurrection, I'm not on that team anymore?
Well, there's definitely a deep level of concern about the level of betrayal to us from the congressman's being a co-conspirator in planning the overthrow of the election.
And that's indisputable. That's indisputable.
Yeah,
it really is.
He was named by the January 6th committee as one of 10 members of Congress who were at the White House in December of 2020 plotting the overthrow of the election. Now, that is something that is really unacceptable on every level. It's a betrayal of the oath to the Constitution that he took, not because he was questioning the results of an election. I'm okay with any of us questioning the outcome of an election and wanting to make sure that an election is done with integrity and fair and that every vote is counted. We all should ask those questions. I had some of my own concerns about Russian interference with the elections in 2016, but you have to go about it in a way where you're following evidence and not just hunches or just how you wish it were. And by the time that meeting was happening in December of 2020, there had been 60 court cases thrown out by conservative judges all across the country for lack of a shred of evidence anywhere that there was a problem with the results of this election. By the time they were having that meeting, it was purely about holding on to power. It was purely about thwarting the will of the people in a free and fair election. And that is undemocratic. And it is a betrayal of the deepest trust that we put into our elected representatives. And that is something that a lot of people in this district are finding unacceptable. When you add that to the fact that our congressman also doesn't show up, doesn't listen.
Well, there's nobody at the table. He's had nobody at his table all day. And my wife's like, Dutch, Sarbanes, they all have like people here. And I'm thinking, I don't know if you're standing at that table, what do people come up and say? Good job on the insurrection. Let's go. Let's get 10 more. Just like it's inconceivable to me that people they can't support you in one. So I don't endorse many. I did endorse Bill Henry. I'm a little upset that I endorsed Bill because he came over and gave me a hard time earlier, but I'll continue to endorse him. But Heather Mizeur is running in one. If you are in the one side of northern Baltimore County or anywhere up in Hartford County, Cecil County, where you get us, even on the Eastern Shore, make sure you're listening to your message. It's so many places I could go, and I don't want this to turn into a bash of your opponent, but there's a reason you got involved in this. And a year and a half ago, we had you on the show kind of early on. I thought it was great. You had your little podcast microphone there from the Eastern Shore. Then I came in and had a crab cake with you. But this last year and a half, all the evidence that's coming out now, what's happening for Trump and all of it, it's kind of coming at a head where the elections in the next 6-7 weeks, we're ramping up on this. The next 6-7 weeks, things will be a lot different, I think, by Election Day in regard to Team Trump and to the people that supported that. There's more information coming out every day that would say, I can't vote for that guy. There's no way I can vote for that guy. That I need more information about you, even if I was cloudy about it.
Yeah. Let me give you one example that is really relevant just this week of the kinds of stories that will be told and the voters will have a chance to absorb for these closing weeks of the campaign. I've been endorsed by the professional firefighters of Maryland, and they had an international North American conference from the U.S. and Canada of all firefighters. And they recently voted at that conference to condemn Andy Harris at the firefighters conference. A very long list of things that he has done to work against first responders. He voted against the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund to support the firefighter families after the terrorist attack in 9/11.
By the way, my wife's a part of that. My wife was a first responder at 9/11 as an engineer, contracted leukemia twice. So everything that Jon Stewart ever fights for, that's for everybody like her who was a part of what was going on.
That's another example. Jon Stewart's advocacy on how the Senate nearly failed to pass the PACT Act for the relief and health care for veterans who had been harmed by the burn pits that they've been exposed to. That's another bill that Andy Harris voted against. He acts like he is somebody who is with the police and the firefighters and the veterans, but he votes against them all the time. And in the past, he hasn't had a consistent, competitive election to hold him accountable for what he's done, and he gets away with a lot of people just like, I don't know much about him, he doesn't show up, we don't know much about how he votes. It's news to a lot of people that he voted against giving gold medals to Capitol Hill police officers who tried to save his life that day on the attack of January 6th. And so we're getting that message out, but at the same time, Nestor, I want to be really clear. I'm not running a campaign just against Andy Harris. This is not just about fire Andy Harris. I need people to be equally excited about why they want to hire me. And what I'm most proud of is that this campaign is centered around what it is that we can do together as communities to build communities where everyone belongs, is respected, honored, and we do community service projects together. We have roundtable conversations. We meet up on the beach. Like we're connected, we're transparent, we're engaged, we listen, and then we take people's ideas and we turn them into plans. And I have a record of taking those plans and making them law. And we need a fierce advocate for this district again. Andy Harris said he wasn't going to run again after 6 terms. He lied to us. I'm going to hold him accountable and retire him for good in November.
Well, I hope so. Heather Mizeur's here. A story for you. I was just talking to Jake Day. I had Jake on in Salisbury at Mogan's Oyster House the other day.
Oh, and they have one of my favorite crab cakes.
Yeah, it's over that squash thing. It's insane.
Yes, it's really good.
Really, really, really Gucci. But so we got to talking about voting and the county, and I ran into Julie, I guess it's Giordano, at a party Wednesday night, who was the Wicomico County Republican elected running in the general. And on the way down, literally, I'm like, how many people voted for her? I wonder who she ran against. I wonder how many people there were voting. And I looked, and I talked to Jake about this. He said there's 32,000 people registered in the candidate, but there were like less than 10 that actually voted in the primary. And he said there'll be a lot more people voting. So the people that voted primary for you, didn't vote, voted for him, didn't vote, those people, this is the most important election for people to get out. And I'm very, very worried with the Democratic side that West is going to win. I believe that. Brooks is going to win. I believe that. I saw Glassman come by. I think he just realizes he's in trouble because of the Cox signs and the Paraka signs. But for the whole state to get activated, and certainly on your side, right, the Eastern Shore and where you are, you need activated blue hats out and people to vote and get out and vote. And
not just blue hats, though. We need people who are looking for responsible governance to collaborate in a unity coalition that we are building. I'm not making this about blue votes. This isn't about a Democratic election. This is not a Republican election. This is an invitation to anyone who is concerned about their congressman being an anti-choice zealot, who wants Maryland to be a state that has no abortion access, even in cases of rape, incest, life of the mother being threatened. He's an extremist on every single issue, whether it's abortion, the climate. He's a climate change denier. How can you not be an advocate for the environment representing a district like this?
Yeah, how do you say you're for Waterman and you're having coastal problems, and you're always going to have coastal problems here as long as you have climate problems.
And the health of the bay is what is necessary to support that livelihood. And what you see in my Waterman's plan is I listened closely to what it is, the wisdom of the Waterman in helping us chart a path for the environmental support necessary to clean the bay and the tributaries and do the dredging and protect from the silt coming over the Conowingo Dam into those tributaries. On every single issue, Andy Harris is just too extreme. He's out of touch. He's too extreme, and that's what's motivating people to come out. Well,
I hope people are motivated by
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Whatever gets you out to vote, and I'm encouraging vote. It's not, well, my guy's going to win, my girl's going to win, I'm going to stay home. No. You got to vote. You got to vote. That's the way you're going to win. I'm convinced of that. We need more turnout for everyone, but specifically in these tighter places where it's important that you win.
Yeah.
Well, I don't say that. I'm not thinking. I'm trying to get Moeller, keep him away from Westmore 10 days from now because he's I'm not campaigning for you. I am campaigning against that rhetoric because it's greatly affected all of our lives over the last 6 years, right? And I think it's dangerous. It's really dangerous. It is. I believe that.
It is. And we're doing house parties all across the district, including with our Republican supporters. We call it Heather in the Hot Seat.
Ha!
And
So they put you in front of a bunch of red hats and they get after you. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah,
well, that's good. That's America.
because and what happens consistently is we're so much closer on all the issues than anyone anticipates going into the dialogue. And I started a nonprofit organization before I ran for Congress that's called Soul Force Politics. And the whole focus of our organization, which we started in 2017, was about bridging the partisan divide and healing all of the ways that we have failed to see each other's humanity and finding a common connection. Our greatest national security threat, I believe, is our polarization. What happened in the Capitol building on January 6th, as horrible as it was not just one event in one building. It was a reflection of an attitude that has permeated across the country of deep division, distrust, belief of a lie that has been sold to people by leaders that they trust. And we're not going to come back together again through shame, judgment, finger pointing, tisk-tisking, jamming your talking points down someone else's throat. We often in politics don't really listen well. We don't listen. We're waiting for the break in the dialogue to insert our point and try to win a conversation. I'm really curious about someone's opinion and why they think the way they do. And I'm very open-hearted to designing approaches to fixing problems that bring the best of all the different sides together. And that's really what democracy is supposed to be about. Democracy is not just functions of government and elections. Democracy is about, we the people, our voices, having a contest of ideas, and having someone listen and take all the best ideas and come up with approaches to really want to solve problems and solutions again. I believe in the goodness both of people and our ability to come together to solve problems. And while my name is on the ballot, I'm not running an election that is about me or my egoic need to be a member of Congress. I'm just leading a movement of people who are ready to reclaim our communities again, to heal as one. We talk about how in our election, our motto is "We are one." Some of that is about being the first district.
Right.
But a lot of it is about we're all one. Let's stop putting labels on each other. When we label each other as Democrat, Republican, moderate, conservative, liberal, it's a cheap and easy way of trying to think we know something about someone and therefore putting them in this box and having a judgment about it, rather than really opening up to get to know each other. I am so beyond a label that someone could put on me. There's so many labels that could apply to me that when you bring them all together, what does it really mean? I live my own life really personally very conservatively. I'm also a Catholic woman. I'm also gay. I'm also a Democrat who challenges her party. On social issues, I'm pretty progressive. On fiscal issues, I'm fairly conservative. Does that make me a moderate? I don't know. I don't like the labels. And I think that if we were to transcend labeling each other, not just in politics, but in general, and just really get to know each other again and be curious.
How about
deeply
human?
Curious.
We're all human.
We're all human.
Right on.
Humanity is the piece to this. Growing up as a kid, I was a huge patriot. Have an American flag and poster pinups of Jack and Bobby Kennedy in my bedroom, and I said the Pledge of Allegiance every morning to my flag, but then I also said the American Creed every day. And a lot of people aren't familiar with what the creed is, but it's a mishmash of a lot of like the top line things from all of our founding documents that are kind of the creed of who we are in this country. And there's a portion of the creed that talks about our dedication to freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. And those four things, freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, are the center, it's the axis points on which everything I've done in my political career, 8 years in the state legislature, working for over a decade at the federal level in Congress, what I'll do as a member of Congress, those are the things that drive me. Almost every issue I've ever worked on has something to do with advancing freedom, equality, justice, and humanity. And it's the humanity piece that is really needing attention right now.
Is there going to be a debate?
I hope so. I hope there's a lot.
Is there any? Is that really going to happen? I mean,
we've said yes to everyone that is planning them, from League of Women Voters to Cecil County Public Television, and I think that local chambers of commerce in the Lower Shore trying to put something together. What we're waiting on is for confirmation from Andy Harris. I think you might be a little scared to debate me.
I don't see him anywhere. Heather Mizeur is here. It is the race for one. We're a couple weeks out on the election. Make sure you get registered. If I had a big farm on the Eastern Shore and won, I'd have your signs out there in front and an American flag, but I don't. But good luck to you, right?
Hey, thank you, Nestor.
Mike's always open. I hope you come out and have a crab cake. I have not been to Rock Hall yet, and you're trying to get me over to Rock Hall.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. You got to come to Waterman's. It's the place.
Well, Moeller put me on a spot. Like yesterday, Moeller and I did a recon. And he's like, all right, you've been everywhere in the state now, right? I'm like, no. I still haven't been to Rock Hall. Yeah. Like, that's the one spot I know I have. I know there's other spots I haven't been, but I've been almost. It's kind of skinny out west. It's not hard to kind of go on all the roads out west. But Rock Hall.
Rock Hall.
I should take a boat, right? if I'm smart.
Well, you could. That would be a really beautiful way to arrive from.
I got friends
over
there
in
at Dundalk and
Baltimore.
Essex with a boat.
There you go.
Take me across.
Yeah, there you go, hon.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's what we do it.
So when you come for your crab cakes, for me, I tend to do. I've been touring myself like kind of 3 bucket areas this whole campaign. And
Well, I saw you at a brewery when you
Yeah.
won the first thing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm going to
So
stop there on the way home.
I do breweries,
Uh-huh.
ice cream, and crab cakes.
I do all 3. That's what I do every day of my life.
I know, but why are you so skinny, and why have I gained so much weight?
I'm doing on Thursday. I don't talk much about Pennsylvania on here because it's almost football season. But I'm touring the Wise Markets, my client, of a factory in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and I'm eating the ice cream straight out of like the vat on Thursday.
Oh, nice.
And then I'm getting a crab cake. Maybe your area. I'm getting a crab cake at Friendly Farms and Big Truck. Is Big Truck far enough west of Hereford to be in your? I don't know if it's in your district. It's close. Everything in northern Baltimore County is a little mishmashy for you.
It is a little mishmashy.
As to whether who you are.
In we have an eastern strip of Baltimore County that definitely encompasses the northern part. Kingsville, Glenarm, Moncton.
Above Lock Raven,
Yeah,
pretty much,
yeah.
yeah.
So.
Well, if I could steal a beer in your district that's my district, then we could do something.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun.
Or
Bricks and the Sticks. Have you ever had a beer there?
Not yet, but I'm
That's
thirsty.
in the first district. One of my favorite places. I'm into cornhole. Do you play cornhole?
I do. I'm from Dundalk. I know.
It's a beer drinking game. So
it's horseshoes with a bag. Is what it is.
It's
I mean,
sort of.
Really
It's its own thing. I mean, when you're from farm country, you got to play cornhole. But a lot of our local breweries do a lot of cornhole tournaments too, so I could get you into that.
I did
as well.
RAR yesterday. I did Burley Oak. I did.
Did you
Burnish.
do Burnish? Okay.
I did Evolution. I'm trying to think.
How about Tin Ike on your way home?
Tin Ike is your place. I'm doing that tomorrow.
Okay.
Saturday. That's my Saturday.
All right, and then if you want to hit another one in that area, Bull and
I
Goat.
hear they hosted a winner.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
They did.
a winner.
Primary night, 70% of the vote in the primary. That was sweet.
Let's get you 71 this time.
All right,
and
on ice cream, don't leave town without going to Dumpsters.
You were there last night at 10:30. You pissed me off. So Wednesday night, I'm out drinking with Bill Cole. I was drinking water. He was drinking beer. I was the designated driver. We walked out of Secrets at about 11:30, 11:35. We were walking to that Oak 85 where everybody
Dry
was.
85.
I said Oak. Dry 85. I was the wet one. We walked
it's not very
out.
dry
there
there.
was a line. I had a crush on a girl at Dumpsters, like summer 88, 89 at that Dumpsters. I always think of her. But I walked by and I saw thick shakes and people in line, and I hadn't had a beer in 4 hours. And everybody's drunk, and I'm driving, and I'm like, man, I want a shake, man. I want to get. No, we're not getting in line, man. We're going over here. And I thought I should have just waved them off and just what you did to me. Take a picture of me enjoying a Dumpsters something. Because I was up for a strawberry shake.
Well, and if you're the DD, you get to call the shots.
I was trying to be nice. I mean, I went back. I thought I've had enough ice cream on this tour. You know,
Yeah.
I had donuts at Crumpy's in Westminster. I'm eating too much. So they gave me marshmallow treats the other night at Best of Baltimore.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get crab cakes in Longboard. We're getting beer at your place, Ten Ike tomorrow.
All right.
So we're doing it up.
I get you.
Listen,
Thank you
rest
so
up,
much.
Pace yourself for this thing, all right? You look like you're doing all right.
Yeah, we're doing great.
People say to me all the time, she ain't winning over there. Yeah, Eastern Shore ain't winning. I'm like, I'm going to endorse her. That's going to help. I'm going to get her the 10 votes that pushes her over the top.
Every vote matters.
Go win.
Yeah.
Get rid of this guy.
All right, we
Let's
got
get rid
it.
of this guy.
All right.
All right.
Thanks so
Heather
much.
Mizeur, she's doing things the right way and won. Vote for her. That's all I'm going to say about it, but I'm going to say it about 1,000 times. Maryland Lottery presents our Maryland Crab Cake Tour. It's all presented by them, Goodwill, Win Donation, and the Restaurant Association of Maryland. Maybe I'll come over. September 16th through the 25th is still in the election season. I could do a little push forward with you. We could do something on the Eastern Shore maybe that week. I'm going to do some restaurant because Restaurant Association Week, it's important. I mean, everybody's out. Restaurants are all showing off. Lunch, dinner.
For sure. So this is mine, right? Do I have to split it with you when I win?
If you win $10,000, I want half. If you win $10,
I get to
you
keep it
give
all.
me ice cream next time we get together. You give me 2 scoops for me.
Well, you know what? This is going to buy my bingo cards tonight at St. Luke's. I'm playing bingo tonight at St. Luke's Parish here in Ocean City.
Ocean City.
It's bingo night.
All right.
You can't miss that.
You get your little stamper.
Blotters. They're called blotters. Come on, Nestor.
You from Illinois or something? What do you call? I call them stampers. What do you call them? Daubers. She's from New Hampshire. She doesn't know.
Daubers, blotters,
She
stampers.
calls a bubbler, the fountain, the bubbler. She has all. They don't call soda that. They call it pop. They have all sorts of names. They're weird up in New England. Not like these nice Midwestern farmers. How's your wife? Everything good?
Thanks for asking. She's great. She's holding down the farm a lot without me, and yet giving her wholehearted blessing to this whole enterprise because of how important it is that we hold him accountable as patriots who love our democracy.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his, but I'm a big fan of yours. Heather Mizeur here in one. Go vote for her. Let's fix this democracy of ours. I'm in Ocean City. I'm going to wrap up now. There's a crab feast, and there's beer, and there's ice cream, and the ocean's there, and it's freezing in here. I'm Nestor. We are WNST, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking elections in Baltimore Positive. Stay with us.